come back to retake Santa Fe. The Vargas, being a very devout Catholic, before he started out on his mission, prayed to the Blessed Virgin Mary for her intercession to God, that if God would help him in his mission to retake Santa Fe without any bloodshed being lost on either side, that he would thenceforth have a fiesta in Our Lady's honor. And so this is what really came about then. The Spaniards came back into what is now Santa Fe, had a meeting with the Indian leaders, and the two met, and both sides decided that Spaniards were probably going to win anyway. So the Indians decided to give in and give the city back to Santa Fe, to the Spaniards. And there was no bloodshed. When the Vargas passed away in 1712, the people remaining said, well, we have to keep Don Diego de Vargas' promise alive. And so beginning in 1712, we had the first Fiesta de Santa Fe. And so now in 1990, this is the 278th continuous fiesta.
I see we've got a couple of new decorations here on the plaza. Thank you. That's a lot of work. I understand the float's supposed to be beautiful. Once again, enjoy the fiesta, enjoy Zozobra. Have a good time. Y que viva la fiesta! Que viva!
La Reina was first brought into Fiesta in 1927. And at that time, the Reina, there were really what you want to call rules. And at the time, the first Reina was actually married. And since then, of course, the Reina has become a tradition in Fiesta, and it's changed. Right at this point, the Reina cannot be married for the year of her reign, is between the ages of 17 and 24, has a Spanish surname, and lives in the Santa Fe County for 10 or more years, I believe. She does the same duties, basically, that Don Diego de Vargas does. She accompanies him to most of his functions, and she has her princesas, which in my case were the girls that competed with me, and that's how she came about, and that's what she's done throughout the years. She's basically gone on doing the same things. She is just a tradition that came along in 1927. She doesn't go as far back as General Don Diego de Vargas, but she is now and forever will be a tradition.
I've always enjoyed fiestas. The whole theme of fiestas, the burning the Zozobra. And I was a lieutenant in the military. And my mother would send me tapes of Spanish music. And I'd throw that in, and that'd just get me homesick for Santa Fe, because then it'd remind me of fiestas and the mariachis. And well, I came home. I've been home a little over a year. And I guess there was an announcement by Bob Barth. And he announced that they're going to have tryouts or the competition for Don Diego de Vargas. And I said, oh, okay, great. Well, my mother's the one who said, you'll be perfect. And she got my father in the bandwagon, and I said, okay, let's do it. So we did it. And the chairman of the Fiesta Council, Ed Berry, when he first saw me, the first question, can you grow a beard? I said, I don't know. I never tried before. So that was, my biggest fear was trying to grow a beard. My staff, my cuadrilla, they are, as it was for Don Diego de Vargas, these are they're representing actual historic figures who are close to Don Diego de Vargas.
Y que viva la fiesta! Que viva! First person I'd like to introduce is the one that keeps me straight and narrow. And if something upsets me or something, he's the one that says, calm down. I act like his older brother sometimes, but my older brother, Rafael.
Mil gracias. Thank you very much. My name is Rafael Guillermo Tapia, y en la cuadrilla de Don Diego de Vargas soy capitán.
And like my friends and my best friends, they are part of my cuadrilla. I was able to choose my own cuadrilla, which I was surprised about, and I was very glad. My alferez, who is my aide and my second in command, he is my best friend, and he's on it. And my captains, my best friends, and my brothers. So it's really nice. There's a lot of family. It makes is good and bad, you know, but it's real nice. I have 16 members in my cuadrilla.
It's difficult for us to measure our success. I think in a situation like Fiestas, you measure your success by the lack of incidents. I could certainly point to figures, a number of arrests made. I wouldn't say that's an accomplishment. I like to look back on Fiestas and say it was pretty uneventful. And if we had something to do with that, well, we must have done something good.
Fiesta and what it means and what it is to Santa Fe has really changed over the years. It used to be, when we were growing up, a kind of a party, a big party. It used to be held during the Labor Day weekend. And then it became so large that one of our fiestas in the early 70s ended by our policemen having to go on the plaza and tear gassing the people to get them out of there. And the reason being is because we were actually holding it during the Labor Day, and so we decided maybe we would put it off a week and have it the week after Labor Day, where it would be in direct competition with the New Mexico State Fair and keep people from, so many people from coming up here. But it's also changed, and what it has become is more of a community celebration as opposed to a party with a great deal of religious significance to it. There's a number of activities that take place in and around the Catholic Church with certain masses, the candlelight mass in the last night on Sunday, and then early Friday morning you have the opening mass at one of our other places of worship, and then in between you have a couple of others, and then it's really a delightful thing. The Archbishop takes a lot of interest in it, and he comes up. But we've had some great ups and downs. I remember when I was mayor before, one of the Fiesta Council presidents excluded the Indians from participating or selling under the portals. So that year, all of the Indians pulled out of the Fiesta. I remember going down to talk to all the governors of the pueblos and asking them to please to come back, that it was a mistake, and they told us, well, we'll think about it for next year. So Fiesta's really changed a lot, I think.
Yeah, everybody goes around, see all the folks, and enjoy the food, and dance a little, and here and there, and drink a little, and having a great time.
My plan is just to taste every food there is.
We understand it's going to be very crowded, and that we better be every place we want to be very early.
It's really supposed to be a religious thing.
Not too much heavy partying, just enough, though, you know, to enjoy the festivities.
Most of the people from Santa Fe will attend the daytime functions, the parades and whatnot, and the others will probably just go fishing. 2 years ago, during the pet parade, the Saturday morning pet parade, the Santa Fe Fire Department was responding to a call of one of the food booths on fire. And of course, to get to it, they had to come down Washington Avenue, break through the parade and onto the booth. Well, that didn't quite work out the way they'd liked it to. They got caught up in the parade, and it seemed like the more they used their bell and whistles, the more the crowd would cheer, thinking they were part of the parade, and we almost lost a few booths because of it.
Opportunity to see old friends back in the city. It seems a time for many who have moved away to come back and visit their parents or relatives, and you get a chance to see them all, and it's kind of like a class reunion in many other cities, and I like that the best. And I think more and more we're going into wearing costumes again. For a few years that was absent, and when I was growing up everybody wore costumes, and that's getting back. You see a lot of Fiesta shirts, and you see a lot of people interested in displaying the type of garments that were worn many years ago, but even our good colorful Fiesta shirts, they're fun to wear. I think the companionship and camaraderie is the thing that's important to we locals.
We got different crews that come in each day. Before it used to be like we used to work all through the weekend, but now they got a crew for each day, so I'll usually I'll come in like today at 8 o'clock and I'll work till closing at night when it's all over, and then we have to clean up again once the booths empty out and the vendors get out, and we just got to clean up the mess actually for the next day, make sure it's all clean, so when the next group comes in tomorrow they just have the same thing to do. And it's about I say we put in about 16 hours straight. We get our lunch hours and everything, our breaks, but we got to work straight through.
So how do you feel about Fiesta?
I don't mind it at all, to tell you the truth. It's been a tradition for years and years, and I myself, I enjoy working it. You meet a lot of people. They ask you, a lot of tourists come up to you and ask you a lot about it, and I myself, I think it's great.
Everybody comes. It's not just a little clique or anything like that.
So you're real behind Fiesta. You don't mind all the tourists and the outsiders coming in?
No way. The more the merrier, as the saying goes. You know, I mean, there's people from all over that come, and it's kind of neat because you get to meet people from different places too.
There's so many major commercial events for Santa Fe, though, that I couldn't really say I could single out Fiestas. It's certainly our biggest from a police standpoint that would possibly tend to unify the city, other than a prison escape, which would be another big event for us.
We don't just talk about exercise, we do it. Hi, I'm Jody Gregg, and join me every weekday morning on Morning Stretch. Let's burn the fat.
Zozobra came about in the 20s as really a natural outgrowth of the wild parties that these people used to throw. Will Schuster was at the center of a bohemian colony here in Santa Fe, all of them from the East, all of them really expatriates, all of them artists of one sort or another, and for entertainment they would throw these very, very long and wild parties. Finally, the city fathers at the time came to Schuster and said, look, we want to enliven the events of Fiesta and lift it out of the purely religious and maybe have a little bit of fun with it. Well, they couldn't have gone to a better person. They went to Schuster, and he said, I think I can come up with something. And that was the birth of Zozobra, Old Man Gloom.
Will Schuster had a sense of mischief, and the parties very often were not planned. Zozobra is probably the most planned activity that Schuster ever did, in as much as it took a great deal of organization and back-breaking work and so forth. But it was an extension of the great party times of that era.
Schuster developed the image of Zozobra really on his own. I think he thought of it as a giant puppet or a giant piñata that could go up in flames. And he was a very original designer, a very original artist, and loved to do things like that. So I think we have to credit Schuster with the design and the total look of Zozobra.
There's been a great deal written about the fact that Schuss was approached by the city fathers, by what was then the equivalent of the city council. It was probably informal, and he was asked to provide a light counterpoint to the very religious aspect of Fiesta. His own son, the late Don Schuster, alleges that probably that's in part true, but also he suggests that somebody said, "Schuss, let's go have a drink and think up a way to do some mischief over Fiesta." And that probably also is as valid as the more formal request of Schuss to do something. And this was the kind of request that Schuss loved. Oh, let's make some mischief? Yes, and let's get the whole town involved.
And Schuss hit it on the head. The idea was just to bring it to a focus for everybody. And as Zozobra grew in size and stature, the need for help to build him also grew. And a bunch of the friends that were at the time Schuster's friends happened to be Kiwanis members. And as Kiwanis grew, the participation by a lot of Kiwanis friends of Schuster continued to the point when Schuster just said, "Why don't you guys build this thing?" And we took it over, and in the community spirit of saying this is a time for focus, it's a time for family, it's a time to just cut back and cut loose and just say, this is my night out. I'm going to say hello to all my friends. I can say hello to my enemies. You can do that on Fiesta night. You can stand around the plaza, you can dance, you can listen to all the music. It's a time for catching up with people you don't normally see. But the tradition is deep, and the idea of focus having to do with families, of bringing people together and just having some fun. And the concept is carried on. We carry the torch for what idea Schuster presented to the community.
He would be very surprised, I think, at the number of people who go to the Zozobra burnings. But then I think he would also be very surprised to find that Santa Fe has grown as much as it has. Because when he got here in 1920, it really was just a very sleepy little village.
You're doing a nice job.
Yeah, talking the hog ring situation in terms of next year.
Okay.
And
as a kid, 1937, I watched Schuster do this. From 46 on, I've been working on this. And I watched Schuster and all these guys, and painting the face was always the piece de resistance. And I reserve that for me. I'm old and I can do it.
Yeah, how's your voice this year?
Oh, my voice is superb. All I have to do is read the newspaper, watch what our politicians do, watch what our city council does and stuff. I can groan and moan.
It's a lot of fun. It's hard work, though. We started on it yesterday, and all we came here was just a frame. And then with cooperation and everything, we filled the whole thing up with paper. And at the end, this thing was just stuffed with paper, and we had to move it all out. And it's a lot of hard work, but it's fun.
Right there.
About 20 years ago, a good friend of mine and I, his father, knew the gentleman that was the general chairman of this operation, and he called him and asked him if he needed any extra help, a couple of kids, and he said, yeah, send them on over. We started out that way and just worked our way on up.
You always work on the head?
Pretty much we have been, yeah, all along.
Is that the way it works, that people have specific sections that they generally work on?
Yeah, we've stayed pretty much on the same thing, and you know, you got the crew that works on the arms and the crew that works on the body, and you get specialized in that area and you get to know more about it than the others, and you stay with it.
I was a member of De Vargas's army in the Zozobra of 1943, and that was the first one I'd ever seen, and it was just a lot of fun. That's probably one of my favorites of all the Zozobras. I didn't build him back in those days. I just was one of the army, and it was the first time I'd ever seen him. That was kind of a lot of fun, and that's what got me interested in doing all this.
This one little gal from one of the channels in Albuquerque, she had Gus Denninger there. They always, you know, they call it Harold. I said, because I come up and I do it. And I said, do it. So he finally stood there, and this gal was saying, you know, and Dr. Denninger, and how tall is it? You know, he said, 44 feet. And what does it weigh? 700 pounds. And how long does it take to build? 4 nights. And I mean, so finally she came with the absolute perfect question. And what will you do if it rains? Gus stood there and he says, we'll let it. And it may. We don't have a spare.
Now we're going to need some people up on the truck. Look out, you're going to get hit by an ear.
Zozobra on Friday, I guess, where they burn that, whatever that is.
Oh, there it goes.
Up on that really backward and really bizarre.
Okay, that'll be fine.
That's the doom that they burn.
The main attraction is the burning of Old Man Glooms.
You guys grab something firm? Grab the bottom part. Feels firm.
Oh God, I don't even know what Old Man Gloom is.
Get right under the middle here. Just lift up. Watch your top piece.
I don't think we'll try to fight that this year.
Rock it over.
The burning of the, come on you guys, help out here, come on.
Old Man Gloom.
Yeah. Don't move. Somebody beat it on that southeast corner of the belly button. Down on the ground.
We're going to burn away all of our troubles for the year.
I'm staying home and having a quiet night, so I'm going to let those three do it.
Well, we want to see the burning of the Zozobra on Friday.
When we bring Zozobra over and stand him up, which is usually around 9:30, 10 o'clock on Friday morning, from 10 o'clock on, school kids from all the schools in New Mexico, particularly here in Santa Fe, and I've seen them come a little further away than Santa Fe, come to see Zozobra standing there. And he's completely motionless. I mean, if he moves, it's because the wind has made him move. But those little kids looking up at Zozobra, seeing this ugly, hideous face with all kinds of day-glow colors, it's remarkable because they look at that thing and really wonder, how does this thing come alive? Because when they see him at night with all the people there and all the fireworks and the PA system with groaners and growlers and the Glooms and the Boy Scouts lighting the little bonfires and the excitement of the fire dancer coming down, we're going to see some changes there. And Chip Lilienthal and family are excited about some of the ways that they've been able to enhance their portion of the program. They're in the spotlight. The idea of getting that thing burned is what everybody comes to see.
One of the things that Schuss dearly loved was to involve the community members and others in Zozobra by keeping some things a secret. And one was, he was particularly proud of the fact that one year the Glooms, who are the little ghosts who come out just prior to the burning of Zozobra at Zozobra's feet, he was very proud of the fact that one year the Glooms were comprised of not only neighborhood kids and adult kids, but the very lovely Greer Garson and Ann Baxter during the same year. But of course they were covered with sheets and nobody knew that, and Schuss was sworn to secrecy and told only after the fact.
Are you going to be down at the park when this goes up?
I'm gonna be in it. I'm gonna be a Gloom. This is gonna be my first year, but you're just a ghost. You stand up there and then you go down and stand.
What's a Gloom?
Well, it's kind of like a little ghost that goes around and dances around Zozobra.
I just come down here and do whatever everybody else is doing.
Big takeaway is the Gloom, or I don't know, because this is my first year.
The Glooms are the last outpost of what Zozobra stands for. They come out and they celebrate. They celebrate because they're all part of this horrible thing that's going to happen, and they don't know what's going to happen at the time they come out. It's just the dance of the Glooms. They're all part of Zozobra's spook entourage, and they come out and dance in front of the fires in front and come down the stairs, and the idea is that they're all part of Zozobra's team, and they don't know what's going to happen.
This is the big event. After this, it's pretty much over.
Everyone, for the most part, is happy here for the same reason.
But I'm just out here to enjoy myself and see some people I haven't seen in a lot of years.
I'm from Germany, Bavaria, and Regensburg. I don't know if you know that. It's near Munich.
They want to burn this doll down, and that's all I know. That's all I know. I know nothing more.
De las huilotas consentido, por eso mismo lo mandaron al panteón, por eso mismo lo mandaron al panteón.
aware of this and may not. Last year there was a little mishaps on the field. A young girl passed out. And it was very difficult to bring a stretcher into the girl, so the crowd just picked her up, put her on their shoulders, and brought her across the third baseline all the way to the cyclone fencing and very gently let her down on the other side of the cyclone fence in front of the police officer. Okay, that was great. Good crowd participation. The next thing that happened was her purse came up, and it came across the sea of hands and dropped by. That was understandable. We didn't know what was wrong with the girl. A bottle of booze comes across the sea of hands, and it drops down beside the girl. The surprising thing about all of that is there was still booze in the bottle after passing over I don't know how many hundreds of hands.
Fire dancer's role is to go ahead and be the fire, the spirit, not necessarily a fight between good and evil, but joy and happy and wonderful and exciting. And let's get rid of the downtrodden, the gloom and the yuck and dredge.
Well, I consider Zozobra as one big play in sort of a way, and I'm pretty much, my father and I and my mother and my sister are pretty much trying to connect the crowd with Zozobra and the burning and get them excited, get the crowd involved. It's like having people participate in a play.
He becomes very animated. He becomes very angry. He becomes a person that is on fire. He just doesn't want to give up his life because he represents doom and gloom. And by giving all your cares and troubles and woes to Zozobra and burning them up allows us to start with a clean slate.
Tune in Monday at 6:30 for the San Diego Padres and the Houston Astros. We're bringing you the action live, only here on Channel 2. But now it's time for the Padres and the Atlanta Braves coming your way next.
Lejanos
La Fiesta de Santa Fe 90 has been brought to you by St.